All right, so I am going to use this oak timber. This is like shipping crate material to build a vanity. So stay tuned. I'll show you what I'm doing. Here's a front face view, front on view, and here's a side view. So it'll be 18 inches deep. And the countertop for it will be, 19 and a half or whatever. I'm going to design it in such a way, one, that it's easy to build, and two, that it will allow the best chance for it to expand and contract and not split. And so how I'm going to do that is, here's kind of an like if you were looking overhead, like I am right now, at the finished vanity. I'm going to take these posts and notch them out each side and leave room for expansion, because really the way that wood moves is end to end. It doesn't move as much, this way, but that way. And so no wood glue, just fasteners. And I will give it breathing room so it can expand or contract either way and still be fine. And so this way, there's no wood to wood, but you have it recessed behind that. So when it moves, because it will invariably, all wood moves, it won't be noticeable, won't be visible, or at least that's my hope. The drawer fronts, we'll see how those go. They might be a train wreck, and I'll have to get some actual cabinet grade lumber. But I'm going to use two pieces and dowel them and glue them together and hope for the best. We'll see what happens. The side, I'm probably going to join two pieces together and then leave an actual overlap sort of furniture joint there so that it can expand and contract. And I know this works because this is how they used to build it a long, long time ago, before we had the technology that we do, before we had really good glue and all that. And then this bottom part will be off the ground, probably 4 inches, and then have slats on top that are already spaced, so that shouldn't matter. I don't have a jointer, and that's the thing that you run the wood through. Kind of looks, here's the table saw, you run it through this way, and has a spinning blade that levels it out, on the flat and on the edge. And so I picked the best lumber I could find. I'll show you these two. They look pretty straight. Like I said, they have the right sort of saw pattern. And I'm going to do my best to make them as flat and as square as possible. All right, so here is my cut list. And some of this I don't know. I'll just figure it out as I go. But I'm going to make the 4 corner posts, in essence. It'll be 30 inches long. And I'm going to cut those down to probably 2 1/4 or 2 1/2. Then I need 4 of the drawer pieces. So those will be about 3 1/2 wide. And I'm not sure, I'll have to show you that, but I'm going to have to cut. I wish I had a bandsaw or something else, but we'll make it do. And then the side pieces that are similar to those, 3 1/2 wide. And then the top rails and the bottom rails. The bottom rail will have kind of a towel shelf with those slats. The side rails, the same sort of thing. This is what keeps the top together and square. And then the slats for the bottom. So there's really not a whole lot to it. I'm going to do the drawers kind of in a different thought, because I'll probably make those out of scrap plywood. So first I'm going to end up breaking down the post material. I'm just going to use a skill saw and probably flip it once, but I'm going to cut it a little bit long. I need 30 inches finished, and so I'll cut it at 31, and I'm going to get 3 posts out of this piece, and then I'll cut the other one. So here we go. And yes, I have earplugs in and glasses for the comments. Before I forget, I changed out this blade. This is the one I put in it, and it's like a 24 tooth for this 60 tooth. But the less teeth you have, the better it's going to go when you're trying to just rough cut something and not burn up your saw. So now I'm going to run these through the planer to true up every side and get rid of the old part. And I'm going to try to get them as close as I can to the same size, but a 1/16 of an inch between them is not going to really make a difference visually or otherwise. Now I'm going to go through and use my square to see what is the most square situation. Then I want that one to be down on the bed of the planer so that the top gets trued, because all a planer does is put it parallel to whatever the bottom is. So if you got a piece of wood that's really wonky, it's not going to work. And so luckily this stuff I think is close enough I can probably get away with it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll put them back through and we'll plane the other sides. I'm going to stop right there because that's pretty close. There's my 4 posts, and now I'll move on to some of the other parts. Right, now I've got 4 more pieces. This one's real thick. That's probably going to mess me up some, but I'm going to run these through and plane them down, mill them down. These will be the bottom. So I might rip them again, but the bottom, and then the top part. The top rail to go across, and the 2 drawers below it, and then the side pieces for the bottom and the top. So now I've got one side that's pretty flat. It's got some salt marks on it, but I can sand out for the most part. I'm going to leave this side kind of wild because you won't see it, and I'm lazy. I decided to run the whole post through. It seems like that'll true it up. And then I'm going to cut it, and then I'll probably run it through again piece by piece. So I'm going to cut this post in half so I can get my 4 pieces for the drawer fronts. And then probably I'm going to have to get another post more than likely. So I got those cut actually pretty good. I think it's probably a better hack to go, or a better method to go half blade or so and flip it. It seems like the saw isn't as strained by doing that. So it's good to know. It helps to have, you've got to have a sharp blade and you got to have a ripping blade. If you try to do this with the blade I had in there, the saw would be a pile of smoke by now. But I'm going to run these through the planer, and I'll probably skip videoing it because you've seen plenty of that. And then I'll put you on for the next part. All right, so I'm thinking about how I'm going to cut the cross section on this. Let me show you what it should look like. So here's a cross section of what it should look like, and I'm about to lay that out on this. And I need to figure out depth and the height and all the things. So I'm doing that right now. I'm just going to leave it on while I'm scratching my head and figuring it out. Okay, so here is front facing. This would be the corner closest to the wall, if you can picture that. And then I think I want to cut out this section I've got checkered here. I don't know, I'm going to turn the camera off and think about it and just make it happen. All right, so after chiseling around, this is what I've got here. Each individual piece is going to go. I'll grab one like this, except from the front, have that recess. It'll be kind of an old thing, and when the wood moves, it'll move this way. It'll move a little bit that way too, but it'll move up and down and hopefully negate some of the problems that you have with lumber that's not as dry as you like. So I got the top looking like this. On the bottom, I got kind of the same thing going on. Funny with the shadow, but Let's see how that's going to be. Or excuse me, this is the top. That's the bottom. The first thing I've got to do, I've got to join these pieces together. I got 4 of them. I don't have a edger. I don't have a shaper, and so I'm going to do the best I can. This is definitely not going to be the prettiest thing in terms of the edge. I'm going to sand it to try to make it a little better and glue it. I'm going to need some wood filler. That's just what we're going to do. This whole thing is going to look kind of rustic anyway, so I think it'll be fine. This may be a disaster. Well, I'm about to run these through the planer so I can get rid of the sort of line between them. I don't have a joiner, and so I'm going to do my best to straighten them out. When I do projects like this, I think it's important to use like a number 7 or a .07 mechanical pencil, or one that's sharp, because your line needs to be pretty specific when you're cutting stuff like this. When you're framing a big nasty crayon or whatever works great, but not so much with this. And this blade is completely wrong too, but I'm just going to keep going because I need to get this done. Two panels from the side. I use pocket screws to join them together to the cabinet base. And there's what it ends up looking like. I'm gonna do another one right next to that. All right, so here's one side. I'm gonna make another one with this. The side that goes against the wall won't look pretty like this, like the other side of this, but it'll accomplish the same sort of thing. And that's what I end up with. I think I'll work on the other side now. Now you can't see, but I'm just using that square. This is a cool tool. Got like a level 2 Pittsburgh quality stuff. All right, so I'm going to nail this one in place And I'm using a clamp to keep the spacing, go to a line on the front, and then I'm going to use that square to make sure it's square up and down, and just put some nails in it. And hope and pray that they don't go through the front of this. Well, somewhere along the lines I messed up, so I'm about to cut some more oak, mill it down, because I need like literally one more piece. Story of my life, but here we go. So I'm laying these out. They're pretty wild, and I gotta square them off, obviously, but that's kind of the look I'm going for. So here's the vanity as it stands. This is the toilet side. I know it's hard to see. I ran out of space on my phone, so I didn't get a lot of video of everything I've done up to this point, but really just assembling and sanding and stuff. And so it rained and I had to bring it in, and it's got the vanity top on it right now. I'll give you more info on that later, but I just got it set up. Just want to show you what it looks like right now. And staining. See the bottom. Here's this. There's that original pink. Look at this light colored one. Once I do that, it evens out the tone between both. It makes them both a little bit darker, but not necessarily, I don't think, in a bad way. At least that's my thought. Here's the top, and I'm still just honestly surprised at how well those two pieces joined together, given what I was doing. So here's the finished product. I still got to put hardware on it, but just wanted to give you an update. The stain I used really blended. It blended really well, but I put the top on. I sanded the top and gave it a coat of lacquer too, because it's kind of yellowing, and it helped quite a bit. I bought this top and didn't realize it's cultured marble. It's hard to tell on Facebook Marketplace, but for $30 that I spent on it, it was, it kind of fit the bill. But it's going to work just fine. I just finished putting on the hinges, and they're soft close. They're a little stiff right now. But I've got one more thing I'm going to add. It's not in yet, but I'm going to end up putting a power outlet thing here, so you can put your blow dryer, your straightener, or whatever, if it fits in there. That way it's actual good usable space. But I'm happy with it. The finish is the best I've ever done. I want to keep this in mind because I ended up using, well, let me just show you. I'll put you on and show you the products I used in the process. So the stain I used was this stuff, and I used like an ounce of it, maybe. I mean, it's crazy. Classic gray, semi-transparent. Put it on really light, and then I put 4 or 5 coats of this satin Walmart special spray lacquer. I put 2 coats on, and then sanded it with this, the 3M Fine. It's from Sherwin-Williams. And then after every other coat except the last one, so coats 1, coats 2, build it up. Coat 2, after coat 2, between coat 2 and 3, I put the fine sandpaper on it to knock it down. And then I did coat 3, I hit it with this. And then I can't remember if I did 4 or 5, but this stuff right here gives it a really nice finish. And you can honestly, I could probably go back over it. It just leaves a little bit of dust and some of the like knots and low spots, so I didn't really want to go too far. But it is very smooth. This is an amazing finish. The last thing I was going to tell you, so to put the drawer front on to get the spacing, I've seen people do it like this and put playing cards all around. What I did, since I was able to, is just flip it on its face to where, I could see it right here. Spaced it out, just held it. After I had already drilled the holes for the handles for the hardware, I used these holes to attach screws to the drawer box, and then I went in behind once it was screwed in and added a couple of screws